Holy. So why did I switch from this Broncolor Siros S800 that I can plug into an outlet to a battery-powered Broncolor Siros 800L? I'll answer that question in the video coming up. I just got the Broncolor Siros 800L delivered, so let me go get it right now. As you can see, this is a rather large box. Alright guys, so now I'm going to try to open this up. Hold on, let me get scissors. This is definitely the largest box I've ever received. One Monolight. Alright. Should open it up. Holy. Can you see it? Alright, so they put a whole lot of these thingies that you pop. Get these out of here. Oh, there it is. The box within the box. So I bought this from B&H Photo. I bought it actually used. This light is very expensive. And I'm going to give you a brief history of all my lights, but before I do that, let's unbox it. Gosh, this thing is a monster. So this light is so big that it comes with its own carrying case, as you can see in the box. All right, we're getting there. So there it is. This is the Broncolor Siros 800L. Nice little thing. You can just put this here together, and it's Velcro, which is very nice. All right, so you can just carry it like this. You're probably asking yourself, why did I get such a huge light? Well, if you know Broncolor, it produces some of the best light possible. I wanted a light that I didn't have to plug into a wall, that I didn't have to use a battery pack. Alright, so inside we have the beautiful Broncolor 800. The cap is off. Wow, that's where the battery goes. It's a big battery. It's supposed to get 440 full powered flashes with this battery. This was used, but it was only used a little. As you can see, it looks brand new. Hold it up there so you can see it. That's where the battery goes in there. You can see it right there. And then this just extends down. That's where you put it into a light stand. Okay. Wow, this is looking super cool. It's got that button right here. I can't wait to use this. Let's see what else is in here. All right, so I'm gonna put that back. And then we have over here, this looks like the battery. So this is the lithium-ion battery. Customs always finagles me about these batteries in the airport. Very simple battery, nothing to it really. We have the instruction manual. So whenever you get a light with instruction manual that is 75 pages, you know it's a serious light. We have, as you can see, this is the charger for charging up the battery. Broncolor is no joke. What's nice is in the back it tells you exactly how it is when it charges, from orange to yellow to green. Okay, so One thing you may be asking yourself is, what's the difference in size between the Broncolor 800 Siros S and the Broncolor Siros 800L? The S was designed mainly for speed, and the L is mainly for, I don't know what the L stands for. Only a light? You don't need a cord? I don't know. So if we put them side by side, side by side comparison. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Holding these two babies. It's like they do weigh a lot. Side by side. They're almost the same size. So after looking at them side by side, the Siros L is definitely a bigger light. It's much longer. They're about the same size around, but in fact, the Siros S might be slightly larger around, only so, but in terms of, God, they're freaking heavy. Lifting them up. All right, here we go. In terms of lifting them up side by side, you can tell right there, the Siros L right over here is much bigger, much longer. 1, 2, 13, 14, 15. Now I know how to work on my guns. Alright, before I begin with the history of all the Monolights that I've used, I want to tell you that I've upgraded from very cheap to very expensive. This light that I have right now is super expensive, and if you're just starting, I don't recommend it because there are other options that will get the job done that really won't break the bank for you. My use of lights has been an evolution. So what I do is I buy a light, I use it for a while, and then I sell it to upgrade to a better light. So I'm not paying full price for the new light that I buy because I sell my old light. So when I started photography, I began with a Nikon speedlight. Now the advantages of having a Nikon speedlight is that it's really small, lightweight, easy to carry around, portable, and it's not going to break that easy. All right, these things will last forever. They're very durable, and you just get a lot of bang for your buck. So that's what I started with. Now the one issue I was having with the Nikon speedlight, while they're great, the problem is they don't produce enough power to shoot on location, especially when you're shooting during the middle of the day, when there's a lot of bright sun. You can't overpower the sun on location. So that's why I upgraded to my first monolight, the Einstein by Paul C. Buff. And this light is also relatively small, produces pretty good light for the price, and you can adjust it digitally. And you can use this as a professional photographer. If you show up with an Einstein, you can use it. While I really like the Paul C. Buff Einstein, the issue I had with it was that it was kind of cheaply made. The light consistency was not really that good. Occasionally I would have a little more light, a little less. It would also be a little too warm in tone, so I'd have to always adjust that in post. So then I upgraded to a really professional monolight, which is the Profoto, and I bought two of these, the D1 Air, and I bought the 500, which is 500 watts. Now the Einstein had 640 watts, which is enough to overpower sun. 500 watts is on the low end if you're shooting during the middle of the day to overpower the sun. However, it will still work. Profoto was great. I can't say enough good things about Profoto. The only issue I had was I was shooting sports and things that were moving really fast, and I could only trigger my flash to 1/250th of a second. With most cameras, this is the maximum speed that you can trigger your flash. However, Broncolor came up with this trigger for Nikon, Canon, and Sony cameras that triggers at super high sync speed. So I'm able to use this trigger with a Broncolor flash at much faster than 1/250th of a second. Since I was doing a lot of sports and things that were moving, I thought this would be really good. Also, when you're shooting during the middle of the day, like on the beach or somewhere where there's a lot of bright light, I always had to use a neutral density filter. So because I could use faster shutter speed, I no longer needed to use a neutral density filter. That's what I thought. However, on a recent shoot, I ran into a bunch of problems with my Siros 800S. And it wasn't because of the light. The light is really good. It was mainly because of the battery pack. But before I get into that, I want to finish talking about all the lights. In addition to the high speed sync, I also like Broncolor because I feel like the light quality is a little better. The Profoto is a little cool in tone and a little very white light, whereas the Broncolor adds a little bit of yellow, a little more, I want to say cinematic. I hate to use that word, but it just looks just a hair better to my eye when you compare them side by side. So that's why I upgraded to the Broncolor. So now let's get into why I chose to go battery powered and upgrade to this even bigger light that seems not portable at all. But actually, since it's battery powered, it's quite portable, and it has just as much power, if not a little more power. The ion battery will give you a little more pop than the battery pack usually. In this particular case, it's a little faster recycle time, just as much power. So I thought, now I don't have to deal with cords and I don't have to deal with issues with my battery pack, which is what happened on a recent shoot. So that was a brief history of all the Monolights. Obviously they go up in price and the quality of light gets better as you go up in price as well. I'll leave them all in the description below so you can choose the right one for you. So what happened with my Broncolor Siros 800S? So I was on a recent shoot in South Beach and I was shooting a model and I was trying to use the high-speed flash sync and I was powering it with my Vagabond Mini. Now I've used the Vagabond Mini for many years. It's by Paul C. Buff, so I started with the Einstein with my very first Monolight. I used it with the Profoto, and now I was using it with the Broncolor. The Broncolor, I don't crank it all the way up to 800 because Broncolor 800 has 800 watts, both for the Siros L and the S. However, I was still able to use this because it can give you enough output for 640 watts. So I was able to use this battery pack, just plug in the light right here, and it would work fine. In fact, I tested it the night before the shoot. Everything seemed fine. However, once I got to South Beach and started shooting, it wasn't syncing. I got there, ran into a bunch of problems, issues, and I wanted to get the early sunrise. I didn't quite get it, and the sun was kind of bright. So I either had to use an ND filter or use my high-speed flash sync. So I tried to use my high-speed flash sync. The issue I was having was that it would flash once, and then my flash would just reset. And I was like, what's going on here? I thought it was the Broncolor. I kept fiddling with it because this just produces power. So I figured there's nothing wrong with this. Long story short, I was wrong. I was trying to make things work. And when you're on location and things go wrong, sometimes you get a little razzled on the inside. Obviously on the outside, I don't show it. On the inside, I was like, I gotta fix this. So I was trying to fix it. I couldn't get it to work. I tried to shoot under 250th of a second. And I think even that the numbers were changing. It was doing all kinds of weird things. So the Vagabond Mini, for some reason, does not work with the high-speed sync of the Broncolor Siros. So when I got home, I tested the light in my outlet. I plugged it into my outlet, and everything was fine. All right, it worked perfectly fine. So then I knew for a fact that it was my battery pack. So then I had to make a decision. If I wanted to use the high-speed sync faster than 1/250th of a second, which was the whole point of getting the Broncolor in the first place with this trigger, do I want to buy a better battery pack or do I want to buy a battery powered light? And for me, the battery powered light was actually better both economically and I think of just a long-term investment, a smarter way to go. Because now I don't have to worry about cords. It's one less thing I have to use. One battery will power 440 full flashes at 800 watts, which is incredible. So I figured just with 2 batteries, I'd be able to shoot all day, no problem. And now I don't have to worry about a cord. I have a little extra power, and battery packs are really, they're big and they're super expensive. So I'd be spending over $1,000 easily, possibly $3,000 or $4,000 for a battery pack, which that was just way over my budget. So instead, I bought this $2,300 light. I got it used for $1,900 and it's basically brand new. So when I sell my Siros 800S, it's really not that much of a difference. So I recommend always upgrading your lights, selling your old lights, and then just adding a little better light. That way you can afford it and you learn how to use it. In actuality, I think this light is a real game changer. Now, Profoto makes the B1, which is the competition for this, right? The Siros 800L and the Profoto B1. Both are battery powered lights. However, Profoto only goes up to 500 watts and this goes up to 800 watts. So you're getting a little more power with this. You're also getting, I believe, a little better light. This is much, much bigger than the Profoto. However, Profoto, you only get 220 full flashes at 500 watts. You get 440 full flashes at 800 watts. So for me, they're both around the same price, but the Broncolor is obviously the best bang for the buck because you're gonna get so many flashes. You could probably get away with just using 1 battery on most of your shoots. Now for all you pixel peepers and nerds out there, I'll give you the dimensions and weight of this Broncolor 800L. So this is 14 inches by 7 inches by 5 inches. So it's a big light. This head alone weighs 8.2 pounds and the battery weighs 1.3 pounds. So you're looking at about 9.5 pounds with the battery. However, you don't have a battery pack, so having this is actually going to be lighter, and I like the fact that it's pretty heavy. It's very sturdy, feels very robust, made in Switzerland, and everything Broncolor I've used has been great so far. This thing will trigger to 1/18,000th of a second. So 1-18,000th of a second. That is crazy. So you basically could freeze whatever you want with this light. It has built-in Wi-Fi and it also works with the Broncolor app, so you could power it from your phone or from a tablet and just change it that way. It's a really great light to have if you are a working professional, you shoot on location, and you're sick of battery packs and wires and dealing with all that. This is the light to get. All right guys, this is my first video on a Tuesday for tech, and it's from every Tuesday is going to be Tech Tuesdays. I'm going to give you reviews of all tech gear, things like this, like the Broncolor 800L and other great tech gear, both from amateur level to professional level. I usually go in the mid-range to professional level. I also include gear that's DIY because I always love to save money, but I don't like to sacrifice quality. So I'll always let you know whether I'm sacrificing quality or not. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel. Press that like button, add a comment below. Thank you for tuning in. And now, the fan of the day is Anthony Navoa. Apalulu.